I don't care, I'm determined to marry him. If you can't accept him, I'll cut ties with you as sisters right now. The sharp pain in my forehead stunned me. Wasn't I supposed to be dead? How could I still feel pain? Realizing something was wrong, I opened my eyes and practically bolted upright, staring at my unblemished hands. I never imagined I'd actually been reborn. Previous life sister Jennifer, in order to marry a petty thug, a trashy man who would commit domestic violence. Framed me for drug use, not only ruining my reputation but also trapping me in a raging fire. At that time, to save her, my hands were burned to a bloody pulp, leaving scars after I entered prison. But now these hands are perfectly smooth, with a luxurious bracelet on the wrist showcasing the nobility of someone in power. The scene before me is all too familiar. It's when my sister insisted on marrying that thug, and I withheld her household registration booklet. She went crazy arguing with me and smashed everything in the room. In the end, she couldn't get the household register and even sent me to prison. In my previous life, during this madness, I sat slumped on the sofa, resting with my head tilted back, until she hit my forehead with a teacup. That teacup was a craft piece, which quickly cut a bloody gash on my forehead. Warm blood trickled down my cheek. In my past life, I was utterly enraged and stood up to slap her. It was the only time I ever hit her. For that one slap, I paid with my life and all my family's wealth. In this new life, I simply sat on the sofa, staring at her coldly. Are you determined to marry him? My sister stood amidst the chaos, clenching her fists like a warrior resisting all darkness for true love. Little did she know, in others' eyes, she was nothing but a fool. Yes, if you don't let me marry him in this lifetime, I'll die, and I won't acknowledge you as family anymore. Think carefully, reborn into this life. I was still infuriated by her, unwilling to wage war for her again. I could only stand there, taking several deep breaths. Today we've agreed, it's either me or that rotten guy. If you choose me, leave him. If you choose him, then cut off all sisterly ties with me. I had never spoken such harsh words to her before. She was clearly taken aback, but then she thought I might just be bluffing, so she stubbornly agreed. I immediately called my secretary to bring over the disownment agreement. Only when she saw the document did she realize I wasn't joking. Sis, you're really ruthless. To stop me from finding true love, you'd even resort to such methods. But let me tell you, it won't work. He won't turn into a second dad. I sneered inwardly, a phoenix man who would cheat. And my sister actually believed he was searching for true love. If that mistress he found was true love, why did she run away without hesitation the moment he lost his money? Under my mocking smile, my sister decisively signed the agreement, and I, too, signed my name without hesitation. Watching the sister I had cherished for half my life, it would be a lie to say it didn't hurt. But if she hadn't done such terrible things in her past life, I might have stubbornly clung to her forever. After Jennifer left, I had the house thoroughly cleaned and listed it with the real estate agency as quickly as possible. This villa is famously known for its sea views. Back then, it was solely because Jennifer mentioned she liked it that I went to great lengths to purchase it. In my childhood, my father, who was a live-in son-in-law, betrayed my mother. He seized most of the family assets and turned against her. After that, in her quest to defeat my father in business, my mother relentlessly trained my sister and me. Both my sister and I loved dancing. At that time, my sister tearfully begged me, saying she didn't want to give up the opportunity to dance. So I took the initiative to step forward, took over the family business, and let my sister go to pursue dance. I placed all my hopes and love on her, so when this white swan was tarnished, I tried everything to pull her back, never expecting to be dragged into the abyss by her. When selling this house, I set a very fair price, and coupled with its excellent location, it was quickly sold. However, just a few days later, the new landlord called me, saying that my sister had thrown a tantrum at their place and even sent me the surveillance footage. In the video, Jennifer was no longer that elegant white swan. The tattoos, exaggerated makeup, and flashy clothes all told me she had completely changed. In the video, she tried to open the door with a key, but it wouldn't budge. Frustrated, she started kicking the door violently. Open the door. Sis, why did you change the lock? Don't forget, I own half of the family property too. You have no right to change the lock. It's just a pity that the new homeowners weren't home today. They only bought the house for vacation use. Jennifer couldn't open the door no matter how hard she tried, and since I had already blocked her calls, Jennifer ended up picking up a nearby flower pot and smashing the door open. The security system in this villa community is quite robust. As soon as the door was smashed, the security guards arrived, restrained her, and called the homeowners. When I sold the house, I had already warned the new owners that my sister might come looking for trouble, and they should just contact me if that happened. The homeowner readily agreed, and for this, I even threw in a parking space. After receiving the video and the other party's phone call, I immediately called the security guard over there. I didn't say much, just told them to call the police and made it clear to them that I don't have a sister. Jennifer not only failed to get into the house but also ended up in the police station. In the end, it was that little blonde guy, Michael Williams, who bailed her out. A few days later, Jennifer showed up at the company again. I had previously instructed the staff not to let Jennifer in anymore. The people below always thought I was just having a spat with Jennifer and kept trying to curry favor with her. So, when I came to work that day, I saw Jennifer in my office. Sis. The other day when I went home, they told me you sold that house. What's going on? That house is our shared property. How could you sell it? And where's the money from the sale? Actually, I had a feeling she would come soon. In my previous life, I forbade her from associating with Michael, and she threw a huge tantrum at home. She even threatened to divide the property with me, claiming that the current company and house were left by our mother, and she deserved half of it. But what she didn't know was that our mother's inheritance had already been legally processed by a lawyer. Since childhood, I underwent the most rigorous training from my mother, Brown, which is why I took over the family's nearly bankrupt company. Jennifer learned to dance and was the little princess doted on by me and Mom, so the inheritance Mom left her was only money. After receiving our respective inheritances, Jennifer put her money away. No matter how difficult the company was over the years, I never asked her for a penny. If she had simply left it in the bank, the interest alone would have been enough for her to live on. Did you spend the 20 million Mom left you? If I remember correctly, I never let you touch that money. Where did it go? I actually know where the money went. In my past life, I only found out after death that Jennifer had long since reunited with that unfaithful father. Back then, after that man had an affair, he used underhanded methods to transfer part of the family's assets. Heartbroken, my mother made a clean break, but while it brought momentary relief, it later caused huge problems for the company, especially since my dad, relying on the company he split off, has been opposing my mom all along, ultimately leaving both companies in ruins. The company my mom left behind gradually revived after I took over, while theirs went completely bankrupt. The mistress who was by my dad's side back then immediately took his money and fled abroad. As for my dad later coming home to seek reconciliation, I drove him out. Later, he went elsewhere to make a living but didn't fare well anywhere, which is why he secretly reconnected with Jennifer. I had no idea about any of this. Jennifer stammered twice when I asked about the money, then turned the question back on me. Why are you asking about this? Don't tell me you're eyeing my money. That's my inheritance. I stay out of the company, and you stay out of my money. I let out a cold laugh, pulled out a copy of Mom's inheritance distribution, and threw it in front of her. Those 20 million are your inheritance. And this company is the inheritance I rightfully deserve. I still have the video of the inheritance selection back then. Would you like to see it? Not hearing me say this, she lowered her head in some panic, even knocking away that copy with a swipe, because he didn't dare look at those things. Back then, she had threatened to die rather than learn to take over the company, and it was she who, when the inheritance was being divided, was the first to receive 20 million in cash. Not a single cent of her inheritance was ever touched. Instead, she kept feeding off the dividends from my company. If I were to settle the accounts with her properly, she might actually owe me money. Why, your company is worth more than 20 million now. By rights, half of it should be mine. Isn't that what you're after? Fine, I'll give you half. I let out a cold laugh, my tone laced with sarcasm. The company is indeed worth more than 20 million. But what does that have to do with you? The inheritance notarization clearly states in black and white that you have no say in the company's affairs and no right to its dividends. All these years I've supported you out of sisterly affection, but now that we've severed ties, how dare you still show your face here? I knew she must be regretting signing that severance agreement at this moment, as she suddenly threw a tantrum in my office, smashing everything on the desk. Jessica Brown, you're nothing but a vicious woman. No wonder Dad said you and Mom are cut from the same cloth. Both of you are obsessive, controlling, crazy lunatics. You'd already planned to settle accounts with me over the property. That's why you forced me to sign that agreement that day. You even scheme against your own sister. A woman like you deserves to be unloved. Whether or not anyone loves me, loving myself is enough. So for now, I'm just watching coldly and then called the police. After all, the things she smashed were my newly bought laptop, and she must compensate for them at full price. In less than a week, Jennifer was arrested by the police twice. I know she will surely become even more deranged next, so to ensure my own safety, I hired a private detective to keep an eye on her movements at all times, and I was well aware of her greedy nature, so I specifically planted a listening device on a luxury watch. When she came to the company to confront me, I conveniently dropped it on the ground. It didn't take long before I got what I wanted, proof that she was connected to my rival company, just like the trajectory of my past life. In that life I didn't agree to them being together, but at the time I didn't drive away Jennifer, which inadvertently gave her an opportunity. The most fatal thing for a fashion clothing company is the design drafts, especially recently when the company is developing a 4-season fashion project. Jennifer used the excuse of wanting to help me at the company, and at the time, I thought that if she had a job, she might forget about that man. But in the end, she took advantage of being my sister to move freely around the company and ultimately stole the design drafts. She sold my company's design drafts to a rival company, which then released the 4-season fashion line ahead of us. We had invested a huge amount of capital upfront, and now with this situation arising, making last-minute design changes is impossible, but giving up would mean losing everything we invested. During that period, I was so busy I could barely keep my head above water and had no time to pay attention to Jennifer. She took advantage of this time to steal some of my jewelry and went on a trip abroad with Michael. He had no idea how much damage that incident caused to my company. I was almost ousted by the other shareholders. If it weren't for the help of old friends who secured 2 crucial projects, the business my mother worked so hard to build might have truly changed hands. This time, I won't just take over this project, I'll also teach her another lesson. So when Jennifer returned bruised and battered, I didn't pressure her to leave immediately. Sis, I was wrong. Let me come back. He hit me. Look at me. In this life, I didn't keep her by my side, so she came up with this trick to return. I glanced at the injuries on her face. The traces of makeup were way too brown heavy. But I didn't expose her. I just smiled faintly and asked, "Do you really know you were wrong?" This might be the last time I ask her. In our past life, I asked this countless times. But now, in this life, all I feel is disgust. I won't give her another chance. Jennifer, hearing my question, thought it was an opportunity and hurried to my side, tightly grasping my hand. "Sis, I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me. You've always been the best to me. No matter what I do, you'll forgive me." Looking at her like this, I really have nothing more to say. "All right, you can come back now." Hearing my permission for her return, Jennifer raised her face with a joyful smile. I also smiled in response. "Little sister, are you ready for the death ending I've prepared for you?" Just moments ago, she was still grimacing and exaggerating her pain to me, complaining that even speaking a single word would tug painfully at the corner of her mouth. "Sis, since you've agreed to let me come back, could you also let me work at your company? It's been so long since I last danced, and I probably can't return to the dance troupe now." As I looked at her now, I could no longer see any trace of the young girl who had once been willing to starve herself for the sake of dancing. All right, I agreed to her request once more, which also gave her a great opportunity. It wasn't long before I noticed this girl starting to wander around the company's design department. In this life, I had surveillance cameras installed both inside and outside the design department well in advance. I have to admit, this girl is quite clever. She knew to destroy the original cameras to avoid leaving evidence. Unfortunately, the hidden cameras I installed aren't so easily spotted. Sitting in my office, watching the girl sneak around on the computer screen, using her phone to photograph the design drafts and destroying several early versions, the last shred of hope in my heart was shattered. After completing all this, the girl nonchalantly left the design department. In the following days, the company suddenly became chaotic. Jennifer noticed we were busy working overtime all day and curiously came to inquire, "Sis, why have you been so busy lately? There's an issue with the company's design drafts, and we're working hard to fix it. If you're free, help out more around the company instead of wandering around," through the Trojan virus on her phone. I had long since uncovered her collusion with a certain company, yet I chose not to report it to the police, just white-collar crime. After all, at worst, she'd pay fines and serve time, free again in a few years. But in our past life, she and that man were utterly determined not to let me live. Naturally, I couldn't let them off so easily either. A few days later, Jennifer said she didn't want to work at the company anymore and proposed going on a trip. I didn't stop her. When she was leaving, she still took my jewelry and even drove away in my car. I timed it perfectly and reported her to the police just before she boarded the plane. The authorities arrested her and Michael at the airport, though the charge was only simple theft. After she was put in jail, she frantically shouted at the people inside, "Let me go, I didn't apologize, and the things I took were from my own home. Let me out now, or when my sister gets here, you'll regret it." Before her words had even finished, I appeared before her with my lawyer. The moment he saw me, Mr. Jennifer wore an awkward expression, dodged twice, then quickly started shouting at me, "Sis, save me. These cops keep spouting nonsense, saying I stole something. How could I possibly steal anything? Get me out of here." I stared at him coldly without saying a word, until someone beside me gave him a reminder. "Miss Jennifer, please mind your words. Strictly speaking, you have already severed the parent-child relationship with Miss Brown. Now you should address her as Miss Jessica. As for those items you took, they are Miss Jessica's personal collection. Taking them without permission constitutes theft." At this point, she understood everything. Her eyes widened in disbelief, filled with incredulity. "Sis, have you lost your mind? Do you really want to cut ties with me? Don't forget I'm your only family in this world. If she hadn't been my only family, how could I have ended up disgraced and ultimately died by her hand? The amount you stole is substantial, but I can let it go. From now on, don't call me sister anymore." Letting her off wasn't out of pity, it was to watch the two of them tear each other apart. Jennifer couldn't have come up with such a complex plan on her own, so Michael must be the mastermind behind it. Of course, I'll make sure Jennifer knows that the man she loves most has pinned all the blame on her. If she can come to her senses and live her own life well from now on, I don't want to drive her to desperation. As long as we find an opportunity to eliminate that man, whether she lives or dies depends on Jennifer's own choice. This time, the company's designs weren't stolen. Jennifer took the work of a famous foreign designer. This designer holds significant influence in the industry, and his works have been deeply analyzed by countless people. However, Jennifer's photo, after being modified by our designers, still couldn't deviate from the core concept. If the rival company had been even slightly more careful, they wouldn't have fallen for it. But I truly overestimated these people. They stole the design from me and didn't even bother to analyze or modify it carefully before directly producing and launching it. Perhaps they were also trying to seize the moment. In any case, their four-season fashion line was the first to hit the market and the first to become a laughingstock. The reputation of plagiarism, once branded on them, would leave this company either dead or severely wounded. I've had my eye on them for a long time. If I can completely drag them down, I'll be able to take advantage of their weakness. I remember in my previous life, just before death, I saw in a prison newspaper that this company was exposed for plagiarism issues and immediately abandoned their designer. If they repeat the same mistake this time, that designer could bring me tremendous benefits. The truth proves that while it's easy to change rivers and mountains, human nature is hard to alter. After being exposed for design plagiarism, They immediately abandoned their own design director. They didn't report it to the police. After all, their company couldn't withstand scrutiny. They simply sent the design director abroad. It seems the benefits offered were substantial, so I packed my bags overnight and left the country, immediately reaching out to this design director, all under heaven hustle for profit. As long as the benefits are generous enough, I'm not afraid he won't spill the beans for me. I've gained a lot from this design director, but I need to consolidate these things. Only with a single decisive strike can I make a stunning comeback. My seasonal fashion exhibition hasn't even started yet, but there are already people online deliberately suggesting that our clothing designs are plagiarized. To amplify the buzz, I even hired trolls myself to criticize my own company. At this very moment, Jennifer and Michael have been released from prison, and as expected, the two of them are already at odds. The private investigator had been tailing them for a long time before finally summarizing one sentence for me. Chairman Brown, your sister isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. You'd better be careful. She's plotting to harm you. The private investigator recorded their secret discussions. At first, the two were arguing, but soon my love-struck sister was completely charmed by Michael. Jennifer, your sister is quite shrewd. Dealing with her won't be easy from now on. You think I don't know, but what can I do about it? Isn't your sister preparing a 4-season fashion exhibition? Why don't we go participate too? The two conspired excitedly for a while, but unfortunately, when it was time to leave, no one paid the bill, leading to another big argument. Trying to mess with my 4-season fashion exhibition. Seems like I didn't keep them locked up long enough. In their scheming, my 4-season fashion exhibition also began, and I clearly saw that many people in the audience were eager to pounce, likely thinking they could make a big fuss as soon as the models walked out wearing these outfits. When I, as the model, actually wore the 4-season collection designed by our company, they were all stunned on the spot. Some even gaped in disbelief, because it was evident that every element of these 4-season garments aligned perfectly with our company's signature style. There was absolutely no basis for any plagiarism claims, even at the conclusion of this exhibition. The large screen publicly displayed each stage of our company's team during the design process. Every stage was clearly time-stamped, which completely confirms that none of our company's designs involved any plagiarism. If it weren't for Jennifer coming up with the final stage, this showcase would have been truly spectacular. Because right after the showcase ended, a video suddenly appeared on the large screen. The video shows me drinking with several business tycoons. In the footage, those men kept getting handsy, yet I still held my glass with a forced smile. This happened in my past life too. Back then they demanded my assets, and when I refused, they came up with this scheme. After all, in Jennifer's eyes, everything I owned belonged to her. If such a scandal were exposed, the company's interests would suffer, so she resorted to this trump card at the last moment. But in this life, she used it early, perhaps to teach me a lesson, but she forgot that at the time. The company was on the verge of collapse. My mother had just passed away, and these people were eager to pounce and tear the company apart completely. That was when the company was at its most difficult. Yet Jennifer chose that very moment to get into a physical fight over a dance costume. Later, I was forced to sell the house my mother left me to cover up the whole mess with money. The house was originally supposed to be mortgaged to help the company salvage a project, but the house was sold, and the money never reached me. I had no choice but to seek investments everywhere, enduring a lot of hardship in the process. Yet, Jennifer had no idea about any of this. In my past life, I always wondered where she got all these things from. Fortunately, I have another chance in this life, so I might as well investigate when the time comes. This matter quickly became a trending topic, as female entrepreneurs are often subject to gossip. Many people had previously claimed that I slept my way to the top, and when I went out to discuss business, it was inevitable that I would be looked down upon. This explosive news was like pushing me into the eye of the storm. Everyone in the company was on edge, but I remained calm and composed. Boss, the overwhelming public opinion online is all against us right now, yet you keep delaying our PR response. Why is that? My assistant beside me was practically on the verge of losing it. Just one night had passed, and the poor girl already had blisters forming at the corners of her mouth from stress. No need to rush, even negative publicity is still publicity. Haven't you noticed how much hotter our seasonal clothing line has become? Far beyond what we expected. This, of course, was undeniable. Even people who usually had no interest in fashion were sharing the live event videos. The popularity of the clothing has reached an unprecedented level, with even a short video being shared hundreds of millions of times. But boss, this popularity isn't working in our favor. Many women are boycotting our clothing, and major shareholders have been calling, demanding an explanation. Reporters are already gathered at the door. This is human nature. In previous years, no matter how much my company donated or how much social welfare we did, these reporters never showed up at our doorstep. But the moment a scandal breaks out, they swarm like flies to blood, because these journalists also understand human nature all too well. Whether it's resentment toward the wealthy or sheer envy, what people really want is just an outlet to vent freely. And I wasn't idle either. Such a golden opportunity for publicity had to be seized. This was the culmination of my efforts across 2 lifetimes, so of course, I had to maximize its impact. While I was organizing the evidence, Jennifer called me at that moment, sounding rather smug. "Hey sis, you're practically an internet celebrity now. Why not take on a couple of endorsements? Otherwise, what will you eat and drink when the company goes under?" I sneered, not wanting to waste any time with her. "Where did you get all this stuff from? What? How is this any of my business? You're the one who did all those dirty things, and now that they've been exposed online, why are you trying to pin it on me? If you've got nothing else to say, I'm hanging up." She's calling me at this time. Surely there's something she needs from me, so there's no point wasting time. "Don't panic yet. I have a way to save the company. Let's meet up." I was curious to know what kind of solution that brain of hers could possibly come up with for me, so I agreed to meet her. Before heading out, I sent out all the evidence I had carefully prepared. The meeting place was a coffee shop, and when I arrived, the 2 of them were cuddling in their seats. Moreover, they had ordered countless desserts and were feeding each other bite by bite. To be honest, their behavior made me feel extremely uncomfortable about this place, though it wasn't the coffee shop's fault. "I'm here, say what you have to say." Jennifer smiled as she placed a spoonful of cake into Michael's mouth, watching him eat it with satisfaction before planting a kiss on his lips, only then turning her head away. "Sister is really in a hurry now, but no wonder. With your reputation in such a state, if you don't act quickly, the company will go bankrupt, right?" I didn't speak, just glanced calmly at my watch. "You have 5 minutes left." My mercilessness made Jennifer flash a trace of anger in her eyes. Without wasting any more time with me, she directly stated her demand this time. "Then I'll cut to the chase. As long as you're willing to hand over the company and transfer it under my name, the company will be mine and have nothing to do with you anymore. Naturally, no trouble will come your way." As she said this, she even naively blinked at me, as if seeking my approval. "Sis, isn't this a great solution? I'm doing this for your own good." I let out a cold laugh. Who exactly this was? For her own good. She knew perfectly well in her heart, there was no need for her to put on this act. "Jennifer, I used to think you were just stupid. But now I realize you're completely brainless. With your level of intelligence trying to scheme against me, no one would believe you're not asking for death." My words angered Jennifer, as well as Michael, who was standing nearby. Before Jennifer could respond, Michael slammed the table first. "Jessica, cut the nonsense. If you want your company to stay intact, I suggest you transfer it to your sister immediately. You've seen what's happening online. Surely you don't want the company to go completely bankrupt, perhaps because past events were being brought up again." As I looked at Michael now, I suddenly found him somewhat familiar. I racked my brain hard and suddenly remembered. Just yesterday I had watched the video from back then. Michael's blonde hair, if dyed black, is someone I've definitely seen before. I know who was behind that video. I looked at Michael with a half smile, and he clearly understood what I meant, curling his lips into a disgusting grin. "So what if you know? It's been so many years, you can't still sue me, can you?" Michael is a little hooligan who often buys porn online and always finds ways to sneak into high-end hotels. He secretly plants cameras, No wonder the video they released had such a strange filming angle. It's as if they were filming us directly, right under my nose. So that's how it was. Back when I was negotiating business with those people, their behavior became increasingly outrageous. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to leave, but they blocked my way. In the critical moment, I smashed a bottle over one of their heads. As I escaped, I ran right into Michael. And I definitely recognized him. Indeed, what happened back then can't be used to accuse you now. If you think you can frame me with just half of the video footage, you're seriously underestimating me. Michael let out a dismissive scoff, looking at me with undisguised contempt in his eyes. A woman like you, instead of focusing on getting married, why push yourself so hard? Look at you going out to negotiate deals with no one to back you up. I don't understand why you're against me and your sister being together. With me around, life would be easier for both of you sisters. How shameless of him. But the more arrogant he is, the better it is for me. So you have all the videos. You know I didn't just let them bully me back then. I escaped at the critical moment and even smashed a bottle over their heads, and I didn't get to where I am today by selling my body, yet you chose to wrongfully accuse me and even bribed my sister. Michael was short-sighted and never anticipated I'd have a backup plan, so he boldly admitted it. That's right, I know everything, which is why I feel for you. Hand over the company quietly, and your sister and I will treat you well. Jennifer played the family card at just the right moment, clutching my hand with a look full of earnestness in her eyes. Sis, just say yes, we're doing this for your own good. You love me so much, you'll understand. One day when you meet a man as wonderful as him, you'll see what I mean. The two of them kept going back and forth with me, completely unaware that online, they were already being met with a storm of criticism. You know perfectly well that the only reason I got entangled with these two scumbags back then was because you beat up a classmate first. I had to use all my liquid assets to bail you out, which left me strapped for cash and in a tight spot. After all I've sacrificed for you, is this how you repay me? My questioning angered Jennifer, who flung my hand away and rolled her eyes in fury. Enough, what's the point of bringing this up? Isn't it just to make me remember your kindness? I remember. And that's why I've been trying so hard to help you and the company. I admit that releasing those scandals hurt you, but from now on, Michael and I will take good care of you. Then you can just stay at home peacefully, maybe even find a boyfriend, and I can bring Dad back too. We'll all live happily together as a family. How wonderful that would be. Hearing her say this made my heart bleed. Has she forgotten how Dad cursed both of us during their divorce? Don't forget. When Mom and Dad divorced, he kept calling us burdens, bastards, and little bitches. Do you really want a man like that to come back? Jennifer flushed with embarrassment. She must still remember how things were back then. At that time, to get divorced, Mom and Dad faced off in court, right in front of everyone. Right in front of all the cameras, his so-called dear father spat at us, cursing that we were both bastards, worthless trash, in the heat of his rage. He even took off a shoe and hurled it at us. At that time, Mom held us in her arms, and I held her in turn. We shielded each other from all the curses and storms, only to end up protecting such a fool. Dad has already explained it to me. He was deceived by that mistress, now that she's gone, and has realized his mistake. Can't you just give him a chance? Just as Dad said, you and Mom are exactly alike, heartless and unbearably controlling. I shook my head in despair. There was nothing left to say, so I stood up to leave. They saw I was about to leave and rushed over to block me. Wait, you haven't handed the company over to me yet. Why are you leaving? Did I hit a nerve? If it hurts, why not just follow our arrangements? I picked up a glass of water from the table and poured it over her head. Your brain already has enough water. This little bit won't make a difference. Don't even think about touching the company. If you dare lay a finger on me again, I'll end you. The words were blunt and straightforward, yet she took them in, even forgetting to vent her anger at me as I pushed her aside. Only when they were leaving did they still foolishly think to cause trouble for me. But the restaurant staff held them back tightly. Wait a moment, sir and madam. You haven't paid the bill yet. Jennifer was in a hurry to pull me back, but the staff mistook her for trying to skip the bill, and a group of them rushed to surround her. Michael took advantage of the moment to sneak away, and I didn't watch the rest. Later, A private detective sent me a message saying that Jennifer used the watch with the bug to pay the bill. However, he also told me not to worry. During the time the watch was in use, they had already disguised themselves as maintenance workers and installed bugs in her home. When Jennifer returns, she'll find that the online public opinion has completely reversed. I released a recording which captured the entire process of those two individuals harassing me back then, only to be counterattacked and injured by me. This incident even drew the attention of the police. The recording has official verification, along with the feedback received after reporting it to the authorities at the time. For me, that incident was indeed a disaster, but it also turned out to be a blessing in disguise. My stance against workplace sexual harassment caught the attention of a female entrepreneur. At the most critical moment, she invested in my company, not only becoming its second largest shareholder but also forging a long-term friendship with me. This time I invited her to testify for me. Of course, she was happy to see such a situation. If the seasonal clothing line made a big profit, she would also get a larger share of the benefits. Along with these revelations, the video of Jennifer hitting someone back then was also released. I issued a statement clarifying why I was short on working capital at the time and detailing the outcomes of the two bosses involved in the sexual harassment cases afterward. The internet immediately erupted in criticism against Jennifer. The major accounts that had previously accused me all posted apology videos. The first paragraph contains unintelligible characters and cannot be meaningfully translated. Following this incident, Four Seasons apparel became an overnight sensation. Within just 3 days, all inventory was completely sold out, and it also generated a large number of pre-orders. Riding this wave of momentum, they launched an online campaign against sexual harassment and utilized the company's legal team to establish a fair channel for addressing workplace sexual harassment. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with praise pouring in and collaborations following one after another. Even the company's shareholders obediently fell silent. I made a stunning comeback, but Jennifer didn't have it so easy. This sister is so disgusting. Slandering her own sister like this, more than disgusting, she's just a love-struck fool. With a sister like this, I'd be a devoted sister lover every day. Any man who dares say a word against my sister, I'll knock his front teeth out. The betrayal between sisters is truly chilling to witness. If I were in the same city, I'd definitely go and slap that younger sister twice. Don't worry. I'll help you out. A massive wave of online violence began. These people online said they'd give Jennifer 2 slaps, and they actually followed through. Just a few days later, the private investigator sent me a video of Jennifer going out to eat, only to be recognized by someone on the street. The other person was filming with their phone while frantically pulling at her and asking what she was thinking. Result: Jennifer lost her temper, smashed the other person's phone, and was grabbed by the hair and slapped repeatedly. In the end, Jennifer ended the fast by compensating for the phone, didn't even eat, and slunk back home in disgrace. For the next few days, she didn't leave the house at all, and the two of them quarreled frequently at home. But none of this had anything to do with me. Now the company had major orders waiting for me. Just as I was busy as a bee, these two people stirred up trouble again, adhering to the principle that any publicity is good publicity. Jennifer took advantage of the current buzz to become an internet celebrity. In her video, she tearfully complained that I had been strict with her upbringing, brown style. Not only was her diet controlled, but even her clothing choices required my approval. She even tearfully told everyone that dancing was my dream, and because I was to take over the company, I forced her to learn dance. She also released a short video clip showing me helping her stretch her legs by stepping on them. At the time, she was crying out in pain, but I didn't stop. Instead, I kept urging her to push through. She even revealed that the reason my company has come this far isn't because of my own efforts, but rather because of her body. Her body is, of course, completely clean. Guess why she made me learn dancing? If you dig deeper, you'll find that the female investor who backed her back then had a disabled son. I was dragged along to have dinner with them at the time, and she even sent me to go on vacation with that man. Just the two of us alone. You can imagine the rest yourselves. Such remarks quickly caused another uproar online, and even my business partner called me. They demanded that I resolve this matter as soon as possible, warning that if her son got involved, they wouldn't hesitate to show me no mercy. I apologized to her and made a promise to handle the matter promptly. Public opinion manipulation is a tactic Jennifer has used too many times. If this continues, all she's wasting is time, while I might be losing money, so I decided to settle this once and for all. Coincidentally, a show specializing in mediating family conflicts reached out to me. I initially wanted to ignore it, but now it might just come in handy. To crush her completely, I started bombarding her with phone calls during this period, calling once, then twice if she didn't answer, until after 2 full days I finally heard her voice. "Oh dear, my dear sister. What's the matter? Getting anxious? Don't rush, the best is yet to come. Jennifer, you crazy bitch, can you please drain all that water from your brain? This is between the two of us, why drag innocent people into it?" Jennifer just chuckled, not taking the matter seriously at all. She even said to me in a mocking tone, "What's the big deal about some blind guy? It's his luck to be useful to me. Don't think I don't know that female investor only agreed to fund you because you pleased her son. Anyway, if you've sold yourself once, selling yourself twice makes no difference. Just go do it again." After saying this, she hung up directly. This time she really pissed me off. If murder weren't illegal, I swear I'd stab her right now. On the day of the show, I was well prepared. And the host of this program was no good either. After exchanging a few polite words, they didn't ease into the questions gradually but instead went straight for the kill. "Miss Jessica, the recent controversy between you and your sister has been causing quite a stir online, especially regarding Miss Jennifer's claim that you once gifted her to the son of a business partner. Do you have any explanation for this?" I sneered and retorted sarcastically, Jennifer being giftable at all is something I truly admire about her intellect. During school, she never scored above 60 in any academic subject. Sometimes I wonder if a part of her brain is missing. She said she wanted to learn dancing, with each lesson costing 500 yuan. I've poured in 500 or 600,000, but I haven't seen her bring back a single award. Forget about winning a championship, she hasn't even made it to the finals or semifinals. I'm starting to wonder if she's just uncoordinated. Before calling someone disabled, take a look at yourself first. That person's child, though slightly imperfect, is a renowned musician. They may have flaws, but they're not desperate. Most netizens these days still have some sense. Hearing my sarcastic remarks, a crowd happily spammed the comments. Perhaps for the sake of the livestream's effect, they set up a huge screen below the stage. Those colorful comments greatly amused me. This isn't even a roast from your own sister. Failing to score 60 in every subject, spending 500 on classes, not making it to semifinals or finals. Who's the real failure here? Jennifer mentioned someone, and I've uncovered their identity. Turns out they're visually impaired, not blind or disabled. And they're actually a renowned musician and top student. How can Jennifer even dare to slander them like this? The audacity is unreal. Truly, shamelessness knows no bounds. However, there are also people who stand on Jennifer's side. And they are basically criticizing the harsh aspects of how I disciplined Brown. Have you all been brainwashed? What kind of victim blaming is this? So what if Jennifer is a poor student? Does being a poor student mean she has no human rights and can be toyed with at will? Exactly. Her sister has a pathological need for control. Haven't you heard? Jennifer even said she was controlled down to her underwear. Just thinking about it feels suffocating. What couldn't such a madwoman do? Sending her own sister out as a gift. Jennifer was even forced to go on a trip alone with a man before. Although such voices weren't particularly numerous, they stood out distinctly and were quickly picked up by the host. Jennifer might not have been very dedicated to learning dance, which led to counterproductive results, but you can't entirely blame her. According to her, dancing was completely your dream. I often sighed deeply, then had them play a video clip. The video shows our mother dividing the family assets among us. After winning the lawsuit, she had already discovered she was terminally ill. At that point, it was beyond cure, and she could only rely on medication to buy time. That's why she divided the assets for us so early. In the video, Mother listed everything the family owned, the company, properties, and cars, totaling less than 20 million. Not to mention the existing debts, there was also 20 million in cash. But accessing this money came with one condition: we could never have anything to do with the company again. At that time, Jennifer was kneeling in front of me in tears, pitifully begging me, "Please, sis, I really love dancing. I was born to dance. Let me go. I don't want the company. I can't make money. I can't handle this pressure." In that video, you could even clearly see many dance awards placed on our family's table, and as I mentioned earlier, Jennifer has never won any awards. So those could only be mine, and now she's kneeling before me, begging me to give up 20 million in cash, claiming that dancing is her life. I wonder if her face hurts from all that slapping. After the video ended, I glared at the host and retorted, "It's true that dancing is my dream. But is it only my dream? Didn't someone say dancing is her life, something she claims is her life, yet she abandons it so easily?" I won't even comment on that, but to use what she calls her life to frame me. I wonder if she's afraid her tongue might slip when she opens her mouth. The host was left speechless by my words, lowering his head in silence. The barrage of comments suddenly took a turn, as someone indeed noticed those awards. "Oh my God, did you guys notice? Those trophies are all for dancing. I study ballet, and I recognize those awards. They're highly prestigious. If my sister had continued dancing, we'd have another dance champion today. The funniest joke of the year. Dancing is my life, yet not a single award to show for it." The recording of this video wasn't intentional on my part. It was originally done to preserve evidence for the inheritance division, specifically arranged by Mom to be filmed. I don't know whether Mom had these recorded because she already saw through Jennifer's ambitions, or if it was just as a precaution. This I cannot ascertain, but the host hasn't given up yet. Even so, it's still true that you previously resorted to violence to force her to dance. You're not much of a host when it comes to professional skills, but you sure have a knack for gossip. After this episode wraps up, maybe you should consider a career change. These comments don't even need my rebuttal. The internet crowd will handle it. Is this host for real? Stretching is basic training for dancers, isn't it? Almost every dancer stretches daily, and the intensity in the video wasn't even high. How could she possibly scream like that? Perhaps reminded by the director through his earpiece, the host's expression suddenly twisted before quickly readjusting. "Miss Jessica, while these explanations may sound reasonable, forcing your sister to travel alone with a man still doesn't seem appropriate, does it? Your questions are all over the place, jumping from one thing to another. What exactly are you trying to ask?" He thought I was dodging the question, and as if seizing an advantage. His eyes lit up. "Miss Jessica, answer this question. Did you send your sister on a trip alone with another man for business purposes? Don't you know accidents can easily happen during travel? Are you deliberately putting your sister in danger to benefit yourself?" 3 rapid-fire questions, each one trying to nail me to the pillar of shame, but I refused to give her the satisfaction. Before he even finished asking, I didn't need to answer. The images on the large screen automatically started playing, capturing everyone's attention. My business partner is deeply concerned about his son because his vision impairment wasn't congenital, it was caused by harm from an outsider, which makes my partner constantly vigilant about his son's well-being. During their trip, my partner specifically arranged for someone to record videos. While he was on the phone asking me to handle Jennifer, he sent this video over. The video clearly shows they were traveling as a group, not only with friends from the boy band but also with Jennifer's dance crew. They were all hanging out together, with no instances of any guy and girl being alone. Plus, since that kid has vision difficulties, he usually stays in one spot and barely moves. Instead, it was Jennifer who frequently initiated closeness with others, often finding excuses for physical contact. This made the young man extremely nervous, and he ended up cutting the trip short to return home. At the time, the business partner was quite displeased because the young man already had someone he was interested in and didn't want to interact with others. I had warned Jennifer about this long ago, but she turned a deaf ear to it. "Host, is there anything else you'd like to ask now? If not, I'll proceed." The host was momentarily stunned, not grasping what I meant by proceed, only to see me snap my fingers as the video abruptly changed again. What followed was footage of our conversation in the coffee shop that day. Jennifer's greedy expression was magnified infinitely on the giant screen, revealing the man's repulsive smirk in full detail. For a moment, the entire internet erupted in curses, even harsher than before. This older sister must have sown her younger sister's fate in a past life. Otherwise she wouldn't be suffering such retribution. Agree with the comment above. I really wonder how the sister managed to hold back from slapping her twice across the face. What kind of disgusting slug is that guy? What era does he think this is? Still pushing the idea that women must rely on men. And the worst part is that foolish woman actually believed it. This year's biggest scam. Sis, I'll find you a man so you can live a good life. Just hand over all your assets to us and let my man manage them for you. I have to say, netizens these days really know how to be sarcastic, but what surprised me most was that Jennifer was actually present at the scene. Upon seeing these things, she rushed over from the audience seats. Turn off this damn video right now. Turn it off. Jessica, you heartless bitch. Are you really using all your tricks against me now? Aren't we even sisters anymore? The moment she said those words, I had already taken out the certificate of severance of parental relationship. You probably haven't forgotten this yet, right? Back then, you signed this in desperation to leave with Michael. We ceased being sisters long ago. As for the methods you mentioned, I merely countered slightly. If I truly wanted to deal with you, there wouldn't even be ashes left of you. Jennifer was furious and tried to hit someone right in front of everyone. It's a pity that her little skills aren't even enough to play around with in front of me. I took over the family company at a critical moment, with countless wolves eyeing this piece of meat. I couldn't even count them all, having been through countless instances of being plotted against, drugged, and ambushed. I've somehow managed to develop a set of skills, practicing Muay Thai religiously every week, so the moment she raised her hand to hit me, I swiftly struck her wrist with a knife hand chop. Then followed through with a slap across her face. Jennifer, wearing high heels, lost her balance from that single slap and tumbled off the stage. The event host wasn't much to speak of, but the cameraman was truly on point, immediately zooming in on Jennifer. Jessica, you old hag, Dad wasn't wrong at all. You're a control freak, a complete lunatic, just like Mom. No man would ever love someone like you, just as Dad never loved you or Mom either. During our parents' divorce proceedings years ago, some media outlets recorded the entire scene of our father cursing at us. I've dug up that footage. Jennifer once said during a live stream that I was the one who severed their father-daughter bond. Today's the perfect day to set the record straight. When our father's bloated face appeared on screen, his initial spittle seemed to spray across everyone's faces. Some people on the scene even started cursing in disgust. What kind of trash is this? I remember now, this divorce case caused quite a stir back in the day. That man was a Phoenix man. He married into his wife's family, seized her assets, took half the company in the divorce, and then turned around to threaten his ex-wife with mutual destruction. The incident had indeed been a huge scandal back then. With someone bringing it up, more and more people gradually began to recall the details. This divorce case has even become a famous precedent to this day. He allowed his mistress to enter the household and seize his wife's property, using unethical means while exploiting legal loopholes. At the time, it sparked prolonged debates in marital law, and to this day, this case is still cited in marriage-related lawsuits. Among the crowd were several law students who briefly explained the case to those present, leaving every audience member disgusted. Some even began throwing Jennifer empty water bottles, used trash bags, and hand clappers they were holding. Jennifer was hit and screamed in pain, sitting on the ground kicking and yelling, "Why did you hit me? This is my family matter. What does it have to do with you? Are you all hired by this woman with money?" I looked at her as if she were a fool, feeling genuinely disdainful of my past self. Back then, I was truly blinded by family affection. The audience below was also agitated. After all, these incidents had caused quite a stir before. And they hadn't hesitated to voice their opinions online. You said it was your family matter, then why bring it online? When you used the internet mob to attack your sister, you should have known this day would come. Absolutely right. Your sister didn't need to spend a penny, with that disgusting face of yours. I'd pay to punch you myself. Jennifer was beaten while frantically fleeing, eventually leaving in complete disarray, and I have one final task. To help clear the name of my partner's son, I released Jennifer's phone recording where she verbally abused that young man, in which she clearly stated she was taking advantage of him. After the show ended, that host indeed disappeared. Seems they took the advice quite seriously, and Jennifer vanished too. But I knew with her temperament, she'd never let me off so easily, so it wasn't long before the Trojan virus planted in her phone transmitted new information again. She teamed up with a shareholder from the company, and the hidden listening device in her home also picked up some news, but it was just Jennifer getting beaten. This girl wanted to use a self-inflicted injury tactic to return to my side, knowing makeup wouldn't fool me. She actually had Michael really lay hands on her. "Are you sure you can still go back this time? You've used this trick before, but I did go back last time. My sister took me in. Trust me, as soon as she sees I'm hurt. She definitely won't just stand by and watch." After saying this, her heart-wrenching screams were heard. It was actually her who had asked Michael to hit her. Yet in the end, she flew into a rage again. "How could you hit me so hard? Look, you've broken the skin on my face. Do you want to disfigure me? Are you waiting for me to die so you can find someone else outside?" The relationship between the two had clearly deteriorated, because before, whenever Michael argued with her, he would always grovel to make peace, but this time, Michael directly called her a lunatic, then slammed the door and left. As for Jennifer, she cried pitifully for a long time, then brainwashed herself into believing that as long as she had money, Michael would surely treat her well. "I don't understand. Have I mistreated her all these years? After Mom passed away, I was afraid she might be bullied, so I watched over her meticulously. Yet, in her live stream, she accused me of being controlling." That day on the show, this point was never properly clarified. Jennifer rushed forward and completely disrupted the flow, leaving scattered comments still lingering online. Since there's no explanation, let's let this matter continue to ferment, and Jennifer wants to come back, doesn't she? The day after she got beaten, Jennifer came to the company early in the morning, pitifully curled up at the entrance. As soon as I got out of the car, she hurried over, tugging at my clothes with a pitiful look. "Sis, I really know I was wrong this time. I'm pregnant, but he found another woman outside and hit me. Look, this injury is real." So her grimacing in pain and the tears are not fake. Of course I would keep her here, because ever since my rebirth, her repeated attacks on me have long since made me want to kill her. If I can't keep her locked up in prison forever, then I must have her die. Otherwise it will be an endless source of trouble. She said I resemble my mother, and I've never denied that. Back when my mother was on her deathbed, she once told me that as long as you confirm the other party is an enemy, you must endure until you can strike with absolute certainty. Now I'm in that phase of endurance. I let her come back and suggested she get an abortion, but she refused. There was nothing more I could say. She accused me of being controlling. So this time I simply stopped caring about her, so she went wild with the child in her belly, not only spending the money I provided her hopping around bars but also using my money to support several men. However, all these things she did were recorded by people I hired and sent to Michael. I knew that Michael would definitely come looking for Jennifer, and the two of them were bound to argue, but I never expected this man to be so ruthless. He actually beat Jennifer so badly that she miscarried. If it hadn't been for a passerby discovering her, Jennifer might have died. That night, she was rushed to the hospital, but I only instructed the doctors to do their best to save her. I had no intention of going there myself, but Jennifer was making a huge fuss, constantly causing trouble in the hospital, insisting on being discharged to go find someone. Of course, I didn't interfere, so she returned to the place she shared with Michael. The two of them went through another round of drama. I had thought that after this incident, Jennifer would see his true character. Yet, with just a few words, she was once again Michael's easy prey. The reason is that someone secretly filmed those things about her and deliberately showed them to Michael, with the intention of sowing discord. Jennifer's first reaction was to blame me. She rushed to the company to confront me and threw a pile of photos on my desk. When he came to find me, I was in a meeting. Seeing this scene, everyone lowered their heads, afraid to look. I simply waved my hand casually, and the room instantly fell silent, leaving only the two of us. It seems you've been having quite a good time lately. I just casually glanced at those photos, and they were simply eye-searing. This Jennifer really knows how to have fun. Grinding with people in bars, passing drinks mouth to mouth, and in one photo, she even seems to be eating some kind of candy. In my past life, I might have thought someone was trying to harm her, but now I know, those were the things meant to frame me in the future. As for the man who fed her the medicine, I wasn't unfamiliar with him either. In my past life, after I died, my soul didn't disperse immediately. I watched as Jennifer used our clothes as a raft, actually helping those drug traffickers transport drugs. This matter not only crossed my bottom line but also violated the law's bottom line. Soon, the company was completely destroyed, and all its employees were being interrogated. At that time, Jennifer had been in charge of the company for less than a year, and the hard work of 2 generations, my mother and me, was just gone like that. Moreover, at that time, Jennifer had already become addicted to drugs, and people online even gave us a nickname, the Poisonous Sisters. As for the suffering I endured in prison, it was also thanks to that man. No matter when or where, drugs are a line that must never be crossed. With this, even if Jennifer doesn't die, she'll never have the chance to come out and ruin my life again. Thinking about this makes me feel a little better. Do you have enough money to spend? Hearing me ask this, Jennifer's confidence surged again. I don't want money, I want freedom. You can't control me every single moment. Ever since I was little, it's like I've been living in the palm of your hand. Am I just your little plaything? Do you know why I like Michael so much? It's because she gives me freedom, something you could never give me in a lifetime. You and Mom are the same, always trying to control me. If you don't want the money, then get out. Don't forget, we're still not sisters. Hearing my warning, Jennifer finally got scared. She stopped yelling at me and didn't even dare to turn back and shout after I pushed her away. She still doesn't understand. Why did I let her come back? It was for this man who gave her drugs, and for that shareholder. After she came back, she frequently contacted that shareholder on her phone. The shareholder has a son at home who's been trying to set us up, and Jennifer's mission this time was to drug me, taking the opportunity to let the shareholder's son have his way. Such a brilliant scheme. I plan to let Jennifer experience it herself. After all, I happen to know that the shareholder's son has AIDS. To accomplish this task, Jennifer chose the day of both our birthdays. We're not twins, but we share the same birthday. Early that morning, Jennifer booked a hotel, just for the two of us, and she even reserved a large private room, truly treating money as if it were nothing. But soon, she would realize just how wasteful she was being today. Sis, you finally came. I thought you were really angry and wouldn't even celebrate our birthday together. I stared at her coldly, not saying much, and simply sat calmly in the seat she had arranged. Sis, we had a big fight before. Today, I want to formally apologize to you. This glass of wine was really hard to get. I asked a friend for it. It's a private collection. Cost over 100,000 yuan, not your money, so you spend it happily. My words froze her instantly. If looks could kill, I'd probably have died 1,000 times over, but she had also learned to restrain herself, still wearing a bright smile when I looked at her. Come on, sis, I know I spent a bit more this time, but today is our birthday after all. It only comes once a year, so it's worth it, right? I let out a long sigh. So she did remember today was our birthday. She poured the wine into the glass and then brought it to me. With just a slight swirl, I could tell the wine didn't smell quite right. This skill of wine tasting was taught to me by my mother before. I still remember my mother saying back then that women are easily taken advantage of in business, and to protect ourselves, we must leave no stone unturned. At that time, she forced me to try almost every type of wine available on the market. I knew she was heartbroken. Back then, she had fallen into a trap, being taken advantage of while drinking. Though she managed to escape by every means possible, my father ended up benefiting from the situation. Back then, my father put on an honest face and finally managed to deceive both my mother and my grandfather. My mother was determined to be a strong, independent woman. She had planned that when the time came, she would either go to a sperm bank to select a donor and have her own child, or adopt one. But now, Out of nowhere, a man had appeared, and deep down, she was reluctant about it. However, as she later saw that my father wasn't so bad, she gradually accepted him. Yet, the final outcome turned out to be so tragic. I just smelled the wine without drinking it, which made Jennifer very unhappy. "Sis, why aren't you drinking? Is the wine not good?" "The wine is fine, but your intentions are too wicked." A flicker of astonishment crossed her face. Then she quickly assumed an expression of pure innocence. "Sis, what are you talking about? I just wanted to share a drink with you. Why would you say that about me? Even if I've made some mistakes, I've never harmed you." "Have I?" How did she manage to say that so smoothly? When I looked over, she clearly panicked for a moment. "Sis, I made mistakes in the past, but since you're willing to let me come back, that means you've forgiven me. Let's just drink to bury the hatchet." After saying that, she poured herself another glass, as if to show me the wine was safe, but I knew the poison had already been applied to the bottom of the glass. How dare she use such a cliché trick right in front of me? So I swapped our 2 cups right in front of her. "If you want to resolve past grudges with a drink, then have this cup." Jennifer looked at the wine in my hand, the hatred in her eyes barely concealed. "Sis, these 2 cups of wine are the same. I think there must be more than just that thing in this glass of wine. There's definitely something else. In my past life, I was falsely accused of drug use. Not only were drugs found in my residence, but they were also detected in my blood. I could never figure out when I had touched these things, until I recalled having dinner with Jennifer not long ago. At that time Jennifer also gave me a glass of wine. After drinking it, I felt a bit strange, unusually excited, and even started to hallucinate faintly. When I woke up, I was shocked to find that I had blacked out again, unable to remember anything that happened after drinking. "I can't guarantee there's something in this drink, but you should still be cautious." So, while Jennifer was feeling guilty, I grabbed the glass, held her by the throat, and forced her to drink it. "Cough, sis, Atilda." I showed no mercy. After pouring all the wine down her throat, I pinched her nose and covered her mouth, forcing her to swallow it. Though some was spilled, most of it went down, and my goal was largely achieved. When I released her, she collapsed to the ground, pointing at me and cursing wildly. "You vicious, crazy bitch. How could you do this to me? You're no sister of mine. I don't have a cruel, heartless, wicked sister like you." I stood before her, grabbed a napkin from the side, and looked down at her as I wiped my hands. In terms of ruthlessness and cruelty, we're exactly the same. After wiping my hands, I flung the napkin onto her face and then took away the hidden camera. By this time, Jennifer was already under the influence of the drug, lying on the floor frantically tearing at her clothes while babbling nonsense. Moreover, her eyes were glazed over, with saliva and mucus smeared across her face, her entire body seemingly convulsing or perhaps in the throes of madness. Honestly, it was quite terrifying to behold. As I left, I turned off the lights in the private room. Not long after, a man, rubbing his hands together with a lecherous grin, cautiously entered the room. Only after letting him in did I prepare to leave. As I passed by the private room's door, I casually closed the main door behind me, and with that, I shut in the sounds of frenzied moans and heavy panting. I left through the hotel's back door, and as I was taking the elevator, I happened to run into a group of reporters rushing out. The next morning, as soon as I arrived at work, reporters were already blocking the entrance. Last night, their affair was broadcast live by reporters, and the scene was quite steamy. Even though it was pixelated, the original audio was still suggestive enough to spark wild imaginations. I couldn't care less about this, so when the shareholders came to discuss the marriage arrangement with me, I didn't pay any attention at all. I say, "Chairman Brown, the 2 kids have already reached this stage. Wouldn't it be inappropriate not to get married?" I knew exactly what he was scheming. Nothing more than wanting me to offer my shares as a dowry. But why should I provide a dowry for someone who has nothing to do with me? If we're getting married, then what's the meaning of Mr. Lee coming to see me? Boss Lee, with his potbelly and a balding head that resembled the Mediterranean Sea, squeezed onto my tiny sofa, looking somewhat pitiful. "This Jennifer is your sister. Who else should I turn to if not you? I've long severed ties with her. Besides, it's just young people having fun. No need to make a big deal out of it. There are plenty of men who've played around with Jennifer. Your son isn't the only one. Would you really want a woman like that?" My mocking gaze met his awkward expression. He clearly hadn't expected that Jennifer could be so shamelessly promiscuous. "But you can't really blame him for this. It's because I used to spoil Jennifer too much. I would go to any lengths to silence any voices that spoke against her. Jennifer's bad behavior runs deep. At a young age, she joined in bullying other girls. And by the time she was 14 or 15, she was already sneaking out to meet people for hookups. If I hadn't kept Brown in check, she would have caused chaos beyond imagination. Later, for the sake of her reputation, I did everything I could to whitewash her image, claiming she was practicing ballet and didn't win awards because she didn't want to step into the spotlight of fame, to prevent her from embarrassing herself. I tried my best to keep her from attending various banquets, but this only made her resent me. In her previous life, when she slipped me allergy medication, she said that if only I had taken her to those banquets, she could have found a good, dependable man much earlier. She wouldn't have met Michael and fallen head over heels for him either. At that moment, I knew she was truly beyond saving. She knew Michael was a scoundrel, inferior to those young masters at the banquet, yet she insisted on being with that man. I suppose it wasn't for love, but simply to spite me. She just wanted to contradict me, but ended up sinking deeper, eventually blaming it all on me. This has always been her way of thinking. This time, instead of covering for her, I showed all her past actions to Mr. Lee. When Mr. Lee saw those disgusting photos and videos, he was utterly repulsed. "Your own sister, how could you not keep her in check?" I did try to manage her, but didn't she say I was too controlling? Now I'm not her sister anymore. What right do I have to manage her? Instead of talking about her, "Mr. Lee, why don't we discuss matters between us?" Mr. Lee was dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what matters could possibly exist between us. Between us, apart from discussing the marriage of our 2 children, what else could there be? Of course, it's about you withdrawing from the company and transferring your shares to me for free. Upon hearing this, Boss Lee flew into a rage and slammed those photos onto the table. "Nonsense, you're trying to force me out of the company. Your greed is downright disgusting." I simply flashed a faint smile and placed his son's medical report in front of him. "Your son isn't in good health, and his condition is contagious, according to our country's laws. Knowingly engaging in relations with others while aware of one's illness constitutes intentional transmission. I may not have studied law, but I do know my way around the internet. Deliberately spreading HIV is considered the crime of transmitting venereal diseases, punishable by up to 5 years of imprisonment, detention, or surveillance. Does that sound official enough?" Boss Lee glared at me with gritted teeth, then snorted coldly and walked away. He couldn't afford to gamble with his only son's life. Boss Lee was good in every way, except for being overly fixated on his descendants. His son had contracted AIDS, yet he was still determined to go to any lengths to ensure his son left him an heir. What can you do? He's been sterile for years. Played around too much in his younger days. Father and son, both equally filthy. Half a month later, Mr. Lee officially stepped down from the company. On paper, he sold all his shares to me, but in reality, it was practically a giveaway. I successfully dealt with this major headache, and in this matter, I'm quite great. Jennifer. Speaking of which, Jennifer hasn't been seen for a long time either. I suspect she's off trying to appease Michael, so with great interest, I dialed the private detective's number, and sure enough, my guess was spot on. "Chairman Brown, your sister is no different from a fool. To win back her boyfriend, she slept with every man around him." This was unexpected. But what surprised me even more was that the man who provided Jennifer with the pills was actually among them. Last time I saw that man's photo, I singled him out and handed it over to the private detective for investigation. This time I saw him again, still in the photo. But this time Jennifer wasn't eating colorful candy pills, but white powder. "Chairman Brown, this matter is getting bigger. If I were you, I wouldn't hire a private detective like me anymore, though your money is easy to earn." I understood he was warning me, and I accepted his kindness. Within a few days, Jennifer had coaxed Michael into working with her again, and the 2 of them began plotting against me once more. This time they didn't dare to play tricks online, but instead tampered with my clothes. They came to our company's clothing manufacturing factory. Apparently, in this lifetime, I've caused them enough trouble, which also triggered some events that didn't happen in previous lives. For example, this time they tampered with my clothes and then filed an anonymous report. They claimed that the clothes produced by our company contained excessive levels of radioactive substances, which could cause cancer if worn for a long time. After government testing, it was confirmed that some of the clothes did contain prohibited substances, but these were not carcinogenic, nor were they radioactive. Moreover, only a portion of the clothes were affected, and those items were subsequently destroyed. However, it was impossible to clarify the situation online. The government conducted an investigation, resulting in the destruction of a large quantity of clothing, and the garment factory was shut down. All this information indicates that there's a problem with our company's clothing. The hard-earned reputation collapsed in an instant. Jennifer seized this opportunity to make a big fuss, claiming that I was always a shady businessman. She had repeatedly warned me before but failed to pull me back, ultimately resorting to rebellious actions to retaliate against me. It must be said that this move was quite effective, as most people online chose to believe her. After all, my reputation is worse than hers now, and she seized the opportunity to go live, ranting extensively in the stream. She claimed the clothes I sold were all problematic. She saw all this but didn't know how to pull me back. She couldn't bring herself to report me either, because I'm her only sister, and this time, it seems she had money. She even hired a bunch of paid trolls to help. In no time, public opinion flipped, and she even landed several ad deals. People online have started fiercely boycotting my company, and government authorities have also stepped in to investigate. This incident has brought me enormous trouble, and even my former business partner has come forward to confront me. I spent some time stabilizing this partner, as long as she and I remain steady. No matter how dire the company's situation becomes, there's still a way to bring it back from the brink, and right at this moment, I unexpectedly saw my long-lost father. To highlight their deep father-daughter bond, my father appeared in Jennifer's livestream. He has grown older, but life in recent years must have been decent, thanks to Jennifer, the sucker supporting him. During the livestream, he claimed that my mother was once an unscrupulous wealthy businesswoman, and that I am exactly like her. As for his past betrayal of my mother through infidelity, he glossed over that as well. In their story, he and that other woman were childhood sweethearts, while my mother was drugged and forced my father, being a man of strong responsibility, married my mother. After marriage, my father had no dignity in our home and was even subjected to beatings and scoldings at the slightest provocation. All this my father could endure, until he discovered that my mother, while making clothes, used improper materials to cut corners. He completely fell out with my mother, and what truly broke his heart was me, his own daughter. I never could have imagined. Jessica's my daughter, raised entirely by me, yet she's exactly like her mother. She even believes her mother's methods were right. To defend her mother, she once poured boiling water on me. This incident actually brought back some old memories of mine. I did pour boiling water on him, but that was because when my mother went out with him to discuss business, someone made inappropriate advances toward her. Due to the other party being a major business partner, my mother chose to endure and had to find a way to secretly seek help from my father. Not only did my father pretend not to see, but he also tried to push my mother closer to him. At that time, my mother was already pregnant with my younger sister. Faced with the partner's strong insistence that she drink white liquor, she chose to refuse. In the end, the collaboration naturally fell through. After returning, my father began to scold my mother, and the two ended up shouting at each other before even coming to blows. He pushed my mother to the ground, clutching her stomach and crying out in pain, but my father, drunk and staggering, still tried to kick her. In desperation, I forced him back with a pot of boiling water. I never thought he'd remember this incident. Does that mean he also remembers the look on his face back then? Just for the sake of a business deal, he could push his own wife into another man's arms, wearing that cuckold's hat with such shameless ease. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel sad for my mother. Yet it also strengthened my resolve in my heart. They must die. After starting the live stream, their situation improved. Even to the point where they had the audacity to come back and demand the company. Sis, the company is in such a state now, with so many shareholders planning to pull out, if you don't hand it over soon. Do you want to go down with the company? Looking at her face, which had aged more than just a year or two, it seemed the girl had been indulging in those substances quite a bit lately, and I was quite curious, when she found out she had that illness. Was her first reaction to think about money or her life? In fact, I did just that. The company is useless to you, you're going to die anyway. She seemed to hear a joke and couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle. It was actually my dad who got excited, slapping the table and laughing heartily. Are you just like your crazy mother? Have you lost your mind too? Even if you die now, Jennifer won't die. Do you know how much money Jennifer is making right now? Look at you. Following your dead mother your whole life, and you're still not as good as Jennifer. Now you see, only a filial daughter gets rewarded by heaven. I advise you to hand over the company now, and maybe you'll still get a bite to eat later. Otherwise, you'll be fighting dogs on the street for scraps. I took out the physical examination report of Mr. Lee's son and threw it right in front of Jennifer. Mr. Lee's son has AIDS. You two must have had quite a passionate night. And it seems you didn't use a condom. One sentence froze both their faces instantly. At the same time, I sent this medical report to Michael via another phone. No way, this can't be true. How could his son have such a disease? You're lying to me. Right, there's no need to lie to you. Both the father and son are sick. Otherwise, why do you think they're in such a hurry to find women to have children with? Jennifer didn't believe it, but her flustered movements betrayed her guilty conscience. After leaving the company, she went straight to the hospital, and I brought back that private detective brother of mine. I heard it was quite lively at the hospital that day. Michael saw the medical report and rushed to the hospital in a panic to get tested. The two happened to collide. Michael immediately beat Jennifer black and blue. If not for others intervening, Jennifer might have been beaten to death on the spot. At this time, regarding Jennifer's online claims about my extreme possessiveness toward her, I also responded, from childhood to adulthood, Jennifer has done many dirty deeds. Finding evidence isn't hard, and I have quite a bit in my possession. She bullied classmates, hooked up with people in hotels, had abortions at a young age, wore all kinds of sexy outfits, and even ran naked in bars. I compiled all the evidence into a massive PowerPoint and directly posted it online. Jennifer completely lost it. And recently, it was even revealed that she has AIDS. Chairman Brown, congratulations are truly in order. Everyone who came for testing was positive. If he said everyone who came for testing, that means Michael's gang of bastards all showed up. One scumbag led to so many snakes. Quite effective. Where is my dear sister now? She was taken back. I didn't dare get too close to those people. But don't worry, the police will keep an eye on it. Then there's nothing left for me to worry about. Jennifer was taken away by them, while a large amount of clothing in my company was left unsold. Then someone suggested shipping them overseas. I approved the proposal and handed it over to the company staff to handle. Given my experience as a seasoned entrepreneur, the procedures for overseas business were completed swiftly. In less than half a month, all the paperwork was in order, and even the sales channels were established. Those clothes were shipped abroad. And when some defective items were returned, they came back with gifts as well. These gifts never made it back to my company. They were secretly diverted along the way. A few days later, something strange appeared in the apartment where I lived. These items were collected by specialized personnel, but within a day, my sister once again began filing real name reports. However, this time, as soon as she found a point to report, she was immediately taken under control. Not long after, based on the transportation routes of the retrieved gifts, the police successfully dismantled a massive drug manufacturing ring. They also seized a large quantity of drugs and rescued many trafficked individuals who had been used for body packing, among whom were people with intellectual disabilities and children. It's just a pity that during the arrest, Michael managed to escape, and my dear father also disappeared. But it doesn't matter, after this gang was eliminated. The government also provided an explanation for my company. They clarified that there was no issue with our company's clothing. Instead, it was discovered that drug traffickers had targeted our company's overseas routes, and I was invited to cooperate with the police in setting up a trap. The government awarded me honors, and once this news was released, everyone knew that from then on, my company would have the government as its backing, and they will compensate me to some extent, at this point. Whoever can join my company will get a share of the pie. Suddenly, all those people who once wished they had never known me came rushing back. Gradually, my social engagements increased, and my business partners were overjoyed. Back when you told me this was a setup between you and the government, I was still half doubting you. Then why didn't you leave? Weren't you afraid I was lying to you? The partner smiled and clinked his glass against mine, explaining, "You're so much like your mother. I trust you just as I trusted her." That's absolutely right. I really do take after my mother. HSH% Ludfzirdsn asterisk 7x plus 6W plus XG 1TN. Jennifer was locked up, but she remained unrepentant, constantly scheming to harm others. She cut her own hand, recklessly spilling blood, going mad just to see me one more time. To avoid causing trouble for the government, I went to visit her. Now her hair has been cut short, and between the illness and drug use, she looks like a female ghost. Her face was sallow and dark, with dark circles under her eyes, and her cheekbones stood out sharply. Clearly, she'd been through a lot. "Sis, you're finally here. You're famous now. It's really not easy to get to see you." Drug use, drug trafficking, helping those drug dealers abduct children, releasing unknown substances in my factory, plus all the things you've done before. With all that combined, you won't be getting out for at least 10 or 20 years. Oh, I forgot, you're sick. You won't need that much time. You're going to die here. She looked at me with a bitter smile, then tears began to fall. "Sis, I had a dream these past 2 days. I dreamed that my original ending shouldn't have been like this. This really surprised me." After several suicide attempts that left her teetering between life and death, she actually regained memories of her past life. "Well, that's great. Now I feel even less guilty. That's wonderful. I was worried I might have wronged you, but now I know I didn't." Hearing my words, her previously calm expression instantly turned frenzied. She pressed herself against the glass, screaming at me with heart-wrenching fury. "So it really was you. You came back. You did all this to take revenge on me. But it's not fair. In this life, I didn't harm you. It was you who led me step by step into making mistakes. With this layer of glass between us, I wasn't afraid of her dirty blood getting on me. So I sat there completely unperturbed. Did I lead you? Every time, I gave you a choice. Yet each time you showed me no mercy. A bad seed is a bad seed. No matter how many times we start over, your nature will never change. I'm the bad seed. Then what are you? Treating your own blood sister with such cruelty. What kind of good person does that make you?" Hearing her words, I couldn't help but laugh. So it just proves we both take after our mother. She was a ruthless woman. But in the business world, if a woman wants to carve out her own empire, she either has to be as fierce as a wolf or end up tamed like a dog. That's what Mom used to say. The only difference is, my ruthlessness is directed at enemies, while yours is aimed at family. And when it comes to dealing with people, my principle has always been, if they don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. Even now, it was you who struck first. I merely chose to fight back instead of tolerating you. Jennifer, rot in this place. No one will care about you, in this world, besides me. No one truly treats you well. Jennifer might have long realized this truth, but she just had to act tough in front of me one last time. "You're lying. Even if Michael doesn't love me, there's still Dad. Dad said he wanted to take me with him back then, but he couldn't provide me with a good life, so he left me behind. He even prepared gifts for me from childhood till now. Though it pains me, I think it's time to let her see the truth clearly. Do you know why Dad cheated? Not because Mom was too domineering, nor because that other woman was so great. Purely because you're a daughter. I played a recording, one I had obtained from Dad's mistress back then. This trip was all about cutting off her last hope, making her realize she's nothing but a pitiful wretch. After all, I'm no saint." The recording made it clear, the only reason Dad sought her out as his mistress was to have a son. Stealing our family's property was also meant to leave it for his own son. Your dad sold everything you left behind and vanished long ago. You were never in his heart. He has a son now. He came back to you just to take money from you to spend on his son." Afraid she wouldn't believe me, I even showed her photos of my father with that son and his current wife, as well as the contract where my father transferred Jennifer's house, which she had bought for him, to his own son, including all the transfer records from my father over the years, and then using a little trick. I hacked into his phone. I retrieved the conversation records between my father and his current wife, each one of which I screenshot and printed out. In them, he referred to Jennifer as an ATM, as a fool, but never once as his daughter. Seeing these, Jennifer completely lost it. Watching her frenzy, I left feeling quite satisfied. A few days later, I went out to attend a dinner party, and when I returned, I encountered Michael in the parking lot. He glared at me fiercely with a knife in his hand, as if he wanted to tear me apart. "You damn woman, it's all because of you. Now I'm being chased by the police and the old subordinates of Brother Wang. If I can't live, neither will you." The Brother Wang he mentioned was that drug dealer. The main culprit has been caught, only a few minor accomplices escaped, and the police are currently searching for them. As for Michael, he was indeed a crucial part of the puzzle. But I never expected him to deliver himself to our doorstep. "Seems like you're not having an easy time either, looking like a beggar." Michael had never actually fought with me before, so when he lunged at me, I knocked him to the ground with just a few punches and kicks. He actually couldn't beat me, so he resorted to cutting his own hand with a knife, then tried to stab me with it. His intention was either to kill me or to infect me with a disease. Unfortunately for him, his movements were too slow. After all, a gun is always faster than a knife. Michael has always been a prime target for the police, until recently when I started noticing what seemed like constant surveillance around me. So I requested police protection, since I'd helped them with such a big case and could easily become a target for revenge. Therefore, the police didn't ignore my request and immediately arranged protection around me. Michael was also caught. This guy's crimes were more serious, having blood on his hands, and he was ultimately sentenced to death. On the day he died, Jennifer also died unexpectedly. She bit through the blood vessels in her wrist with her teeth, still shouting that she wanted to start over. I don't want her to do it all over again. What if I don't have any past memories? Wouldn't I just be played to death by her again? But I do have some confidence in myself. I probably won't turn into a siscon again. Right after that, I continued to grow my company. As for that private detective, though, he gave me a freebie. Turns out, the paternity test between my dad and his precious son showed they weren't biologically related at all. I can pretty much guess that the woman my dad is with now was also someone who used to get around a lot, and she's a young, beautiful woman. My dad has no money, is old, and has a lot of baggage. If she had no ulterior motives for being with him, that would be truly unbelievable. Moreover, the private investigator told me that my dad has recently developed a gambling addiction. Actually, it's not something recent. He's always had a thing for gambling. My mom used to say back then that even if he took half the family fortune, he wouldn't get far. It was because this man was addicted to gambling that his company went bankrupt. After that, he stopped gambling simply because he had no money left. He came to find Jennifer, partly to support his family, but also to continue gambling. Moreover, as Jennifer gave him more and more money, his gambling stakes grew increasingly higher. Now that no one is giving him money anymore, he's probably trying to win some back at the gambling table. But if that place wants to make money, I'd advise him not to dream about it. Sure enough, it wasn't long before he lost all his money and even started eyeing the house. I tipped off his wife in advance, and she sold the house, took the money, and ran. With no way out, my dad came back to me again, crying his eyes out, snot and tears all over. "Jessica, you've always been Dad's favorite. I was just misled by Jennifer into thinking you didn't want me as your father at all. Can you help your dad out?" I shook my head to deny his words. Jennifer wasn't wrong. If possible, I truly wish I had no connection with you. I had security throw him out. The only reason I saw him again was to let others know he came asking his daughter for money. No doubt the loan sharks would come knocking soon. Whether he'd lose an arm or a leg, or have his eyes gouged or kidneys harvested. Would depend entirely on his own fate, but half a month later, I went to collect his corpse. Not a single limb, eyeball, or kidney remained, making the cremation rather convenient. As I bit through the artery in my wrist, I reflected on my past and present lives, yet I didn't feel I was in the wrong. Since I was born, my parents' relationship has been very tense. Mom always seemed unwilling to engage with Dad, while Dad constantly complained that our family looked down on him. I really long for a warm home, with warm and loving parents. I know my sister treats me very well, and she is the only warmth I have in this family. But when Michael appeared, I felt the warmth my sister gave was far from enough. Michael said he could stay with me forever, that we could have a child together. He would be the father, I would be the mother, and then we could raise a little dog. This is the home I've always dreamed of. Williams said love without material foundation would crumble like sand, and if we entered marriage without love, neither of us would be happy. At that moment, I was terrified. I didn't want an unhappy marriage, and I didn't want my child to relive the life I once had, so I schemed against my sister. I knew she loved me, and no matter what I asked, she would agree. In fact, she did the same in my past life. With only one exception, she wouldn't give me the home I wanted. She wouldn't let me be with Michael, even forcing me to go on blind dates with other men, but those men were either condescending or fawning over me. Yet no matter what kind of men they were, I believed none of them loved me. They probably only loved my sister's money. In short, they approached me because of my sister. Only Michael was different. I've loved thrills since childhood. Michael could go out to play with me, and he only loved me. Actually, I don't think I was that harsh to my sister. She hit me back then too. She said I was the princess of the family. So isn't it natural for a princess to scold and hit her servants? But every time I discipline one or two people, my sister Brown severely punishes me. Once, she even beat my legs until they were covered in bloody wounds. That day, I ran away from home crying and unexpectedly met my father. My father felt deeply distressed for me, showing a tenderness I had never experienced in my memory. He took me to the hospital, personally cooked noodles for me, and tearfully apologized, saying he had failed me. But I think it's enough that he came to find me now. With Dad's and Michael's love, I no longer need my sister. I may be a bit promiscuous, but perhaps it's because those men love me. They love me. So what's wrong with returning the same love? So I'm increasingly convinced by what Dad said. My sister and my mom are exactly the same. Both of them are cold. They just refuse to give me warm love. Refuse to give me a warm home. My sister is completely insane. She's trying to stop me from being with Michael and insists that I take dance lessons. But I'm not her. Dancing is her dream, not mine. I've had enough of living under her control, so I agreed to help Michael send my sister to prison. But later, Michael said my sister could still get out of prison eventually, and since she's seriously injured now, she could receive medical treatment outside. I didn't want to go back to that suffocating life, so I slipped her some allergy medication. My sister finally died, and I thought my life would be bright from then on, that I would receive all the warmth and love. But who would have thought Michael would actually use me to deal drugs, and he would beat me if I refused. Turns out he never loved me at all. He just wanted to use me to get my family's money. As for my father, needless to say, he only wants my money too. After the company was exposed for drug use, my dad was the first to run away. As for Michael, he made me the scapegoat, and I was thrown into prison. The detox process was unbearably painful, but this stuff is impossible to quit. Even after quitting, I relapsed. Later, while trying to steal a bag of powder, I was beaten to death on the street. Life gave me a second chance. But why does even heaven favor my sister? My sister remembers everything from her past life. So in this life she's relentlessly targeting me. I can't get the money. Michael refuses to waste time on me, and I can't feel his love, which makes me anxious. I also started dealing with my sister even more harshly, but she's really hard to handle. To be honest, she's so much like Mom. No matter what Mom does, there's always a ruthless edge to it. Anyone who becomes her enemy will face a deadly counterattack if she gets the chance. My sister is the same. Once she got a hold of my weakness, she tried every means to destroy me. But I have to admit my sister made the right choice, because until the very last moment, I was still thinking about how to get back at her. I want to die, I want our lives to start over, but before I die, I want her to know just how cruel she has been. Yet once again, I was defeated by her. It turns out my father never loved me either. He only wanted a son. Everything I gave him, he passed on to his son. From start to finish, I was nothing but a joke. As for my sister, she's living well now. I couldn't bear it, so I took my own life. It's just a pity that heaven didn't give me a second chance. After I died, my spirit lingered in midair. I went to see my father. He died pitifully, and his soul scattered the moment it left his body. I watched as my sister grew the company bigger and bigger, basking in the praise of countless people. With more and more suitors around her, later, she met a wonderful man who gave her an abundance of love. That man's family also provided my sister with the warmth of a family. Seeing her enjoy such a beautiful life filled me with overwhelming jealousy. I've questioned the heavens more than once, asking why life is so unfair to me, but no one ever answers, and I knew I couldn't start over again. My spirit grew weaker and weaker, until eventually it could only become a wisp of wind. I saw my sister give birth to a child. The baby was very beautiful, and as she gradually learned to speak, the love she gave my sister grew more and more. My sister remained a businesswoman, and her husband stayed at home to be a house husband for her. They lived a wonderful life. They also had a dog, and that dog seemed to know I was no good. It would always bark wildly at me. Gradually, my soul could no longer go anywhere and was left only in my sister's house, for over a decade after that. My sister never mentioned me again. No one remembered me. Just as she had said, no one loved me. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.